So I've been working with Andrew for 6 years. I'm with IC3, research engineer. So since like 2000, I think this is yeah. So just to give you briefly some context before what I'm going to talk about. So in 2020, it was the summer of the pandemic. So Andrew needed some help, and his team, like, they were starting to experiment with SGX for actually contact tracing, like, because of the pandemic. So I helped, with the build system and all that, and eventually, okay, we need reproducible builds, so I looked into that. Then opted to, from my understanding at the time, okay, you cannot use Docker actually for that. And I'm a big user of Docker. Actually, I do everything in containers for like almost 10 years now. Like, really, like.
Poor thing.
Huh?
Said you poor thing.
No, I think it's good. No, Docker is amazing. But for reproducible builds, it's not the tool of choice. So Nix at the time is what I settled on, and like David talked about, there's gigs actually that I learned from you last summer, which is even better because you get bootstrapping builds. But anyway, so I worked with SGX a lot on the reproducible builds things. And at some point in learning more about SGX, I became very concerned about its security model. Basically, what we call the root of trust. And I kept doing the things, applications that we need to do, and the research work we need to do with SGX, but this thing with the root of trust increasingly was in the back of my mind all the time. I did a bit of physics in my undergrad, so from the point of view of physics, I was like, there's no way, man. There's no way this can work, okay? Okay, because, and now this is what I'm gonna focus really deeply on right now, and what I want to do is just more give a direction, and actually also to be able to think about it in such a way that you don't need even not much physics knowledge or whatever, just like, it's like, I think some of it, I think is just common sense. Then of course you need scientific research to validate that, but I think the intuition is valuable. Yeah, all right, so, and I call this like, okay, so, and the idea is like, yes, it's to motivate that we really need to work towards an open source and verifiable, what I call security physics chips. Okay, this will come. So let's now, okay, what's the problem at hand? Okay, and this is from a IntelliJX paper, explained paper, which is a really good paper to understand SGX. So, right, secure remote computation is the problem of executing software on a machine that is remote and owned and maintained by someone you don't trust. And you want that the computation has some integrity and confidentiality guarantees. Basically, what ZK gives you in terms of not ZK, but the ZK VM for the proof of execution and confidentiality, or maybe FH can do. Okay. So that's the idea, but it says owned and maintained by an untrusted party. So that means that if the machine is elsewhere, so to what earlier today, right, was mentioned that, yeah, right now we may require people to run qtees in the cloud, right? But so if you take that to the extreme, that statement here, you don't trust the cloud. You don't trust anyone. That's the problem statement, right? So, and IntelliJX is one attempt to solve that problem with hardware. So there's kind of a bit of an issue. So 3 core challenges we could say of teas right now, and commercial teas, is that we don't have a proof that the root of trust was not leaked at some point, whether it's like pre-manufacturing time, during manufacturing time, or post-manufacturing time. If you have a device like this has SGX, okay? So there's a guy here, Torben, from Sylvain, and I'm pretty sure he has friends of him. We can take that to the lab, and I wouldn't be surprised that we could take the key out. However, no one has done that, so it's just speculation. Like, there could be other people that no, it's not possible, and so on. And so we don't know. So now the other thing is this proof of manufacturing is like, yeah, did they design for Intel? It's not even open source, but let's say we have an open source design. We don't even know is this chip what it claims to be. And then there's a remote attestation, which is central to this whole system, and there's some centralization aspect to it, like it was mentioned earlier by Andrew and others. So you could say that ultimately the T's right now they're secure through economics, and that works. It's fine, you know. So right, because if you abstract in this blockchain ecosystem and consensus protocols like do use it like game theory, mechanism design, and that's a model. Okay? And why through economics? Because because the cloud, for instance, if they do protect the servers, maybe it's really not in their interest that some problem happens, and this model may be totally viable by the way. Because, by the way, now I'm approaching this actually more of a research question, because in my opinion, it's actually really complicated. And if we manage to pull it off, okay, to build a T open source verifiable in like a cypherpunk hardcore way, you know, I don't know, my rough estimates is 5 to 10 years, okay? But if you say this though, because I talk to VCs here, you know, I talk even people from Secret Network, they pivoted, okay? They do Phoenix, and I talked to the CEO. He's like, yeah, but he was working with IntelliJ before, okay? Now I'm a bit improvising for this thing, but it's like, he was like, yeah, but man, before you get the tape out of the chip and all that. But if you think about it, here I am, like presenting this, it's 2024. 2014, okay, we could have started. And today maybe it'll be a bunch of cool chips, cypherpunk friendly, and like, yeah, cool man, you know, we do all this stuff you wouldn't have to have when you did this kind of talk. So what you guys talk all this morning to now, we wouldn't have, it's like when you talk about ZK and PCFici, it would be all cool, you know?
2014 when we had Pinocchio. That was the first practical
Yeah.
ZK, right?
Yeah.
10 years later.
So that's how I look at T's, okay? Now, so that's also the goal of this talk, is to motivate I have this here, sorry. So that it was just to give an example, right? And rightfully so, okay, they observed that, we can run them in the cloud, and that's just to support that it's secure to economics. And that's okay, it makes sense. That's actually smart to do that. So now to give you a sense, okay, why freaking out about this, you know? That was the diagram that's haunting me, you know? Like, dude, you know, this isn't the IntelliJ explained paper. So you see already, by the way, okay, because this attestation, for those of you who don't really are new to this, you know, the attestation, Mission Impossible, the movie, maybe you guys are familiar with that, right? So, you know, there's often this scene, you know, it could be me right now, and I go like, you know, like, and then I'm someone else, you know, you know. Well, this is the goal of attestation, to make sure that the chip is what it claims to be, okay? Now the problem is that and this is rooted in what we call the root of trust, which is Intel, and that's what this diagram explains. But basically, when you get that attestation, that means like you look at me right now, like if I was a Mission Impossible guy, like whatever. It's like, we're sure it's him. But this is based on this root of trust key. So if I can hack that, it's basically I can wear any mask, any person I want. It doesn't matter. So I'll pretend I'm running this code, but actually I'm running something totally different, and you have no clue about it. Like in the movie Mission Impossible, right? They're always surprised. Oh, fuck. Right.
The thing is, even when you consider current station, like it's not the fact that you're Intel running your code. It's like this promise from Intel that they could run your code. You never know. You don't even know that you run something in parallel. Right? So I say that you adjust the table of the code, you don't actually sign it and send it to the speaker, and then like you use the rights to run it. Then like never know until you actually run it.
No, but because the idea though is like when what everyone does in the enclave binding, the enclave code, you generate the public private key pair and you put the public key in the attestation report. So now you can encrypt. So basically, for ingoing messages to the enclave, you encrypt them, and they can be decrypted in the enclave. And for outgoing messages coming out of the enclave, you sign. So then you check with the remote attestation report that you check using the public key in the report. You check the signature. So then you can know that there's this bind with the reproducible, right? The code that you have compiled and it is reproducible and all that. You know that because there's the MR enclave in the report, the enclave hash, right? So you know, because you're trusting a report in a way. You're trusting the data that's in the report, but that report that you're trusting is signed, and it's signed with a key, that's attestation key, which is a derivation of this root of trust, the seal secret and protein secret. Okay? So if you can hack that, you basically have you can be whatever you want. Okay, that's the idea, right? So that's why we need to secure the seal secret and provisioning secret needs to be non-hackable by a physical attacker or side channel attacker. Okay? Because, and right now with Intel it's even worse. Okay? Because one of their keys, actually it's even late. Because I know, but I used to think up till like a month ago, we had a hackathon at IC3 and Andrew shared this screenshot of something. But so this key generation facility, okay, they generate a key and that's their database. Okay? They maintain this database. So one of the secrets they have in their database. The other one they claim the seal secret is just automated. Let's say the assembly line, there's some process that generates some random key and it's burnt into some eFuse. Now, there's a Intel, I'm not making this up, okay, like there's an Intel forum where you can ask questions, okay, and someone asked about this seal secret. And there's this Intel moderator, and his name is Jesus Intel or something like that. So, and then he said, oh yeah, but he said, Intel deletes it after it has put it in the eFuse. So it contradicts what we have from what is written in this IntelliJX paper that they don't know about it. So it could be that they know about even both keys. So if you know about both keys, it's even worse. So anyhow, I hope this motivates you a bit to think about that.
Which team are you on?
Team.
You're scaring us.
You'll see. So but by the way, Intel's not a bad guy in this, okay? Because they're just upfront. They're not resistant to physical attacks and also side channel attacks. So basically, their goal was not for this blockchain people like us to use it, actually, as far as I understand. The problem is we don't have anyway. So it's like basically it means you cannot touch it. You cannot allow any physical attacker to be around this device. Okay, so if you now this is what I wanted to use this talk to really. This was just now preliminaries, but if you start thinking about this, okay, on your own, with all the knowledge you have, why are we in this situation? Okay? Why is it like that? Personally, the thing I've found most useful is this, okay, from Rolf Landauer, physical nature of information, is that, okay, because you understand the problem is that we're trying, right now, this laptop and these two eFuses, okay, there's these secrets, they're there, right? So information is physical, okay, and we want to hide it. We want to basically make it so that a physical attacker cannot extract this in any way. So it's just not a trivial challenge, as far as I understand. Because this information is actually physical, okay, and it just like it doesn't like just live in the vacuum. So it sounds like okay, we're trying actually to hide atoms or photons or whatever how you implement how you encode information. So yeah, actually the slide I don't have the right timing, but. Yeah, how can you do that? So the best at some point I could think about, like 2 years ago, I thought we were at IC3 summer camp. I thought, was it with Syria? I'm talking with some people and it was from IC3 and I thought, we're having this, hey, what if you put in a black hole? Like really? I thought, yeah, I would trust it, okay? Really? Okay, now you cannot use it, but it will be safe. I feel like, dude, that works, you know? So that's as far as I could get. And then I kind of went nuts with this thing, okay? Because there's a paper that just 2022, okay? At fall 2022, he shared this paper with me, and I started looking, I was like, Doc, you see, maybe that's not crazy. And this whole thing, it says there's an equivalence between quantum cryptography and black hole radiation decoding. And the high-level thing is that it could be that high-energy physics objects exhibit cryptographic properties. Okay, this is just fascinating work. Okay. And the thing before going there is like, at least for me, it gave me that I started to think, okay, because I wanted to leave this whole tea enthusiasm that Andrew was having. I was just, no, I'm not having it. I need to do something else. I don't want to touch this thing anymore. But when I came across this, I was like, okay, no, I can see, maybe we can have actually teas that, maybe that's possible to do that, okay? Now, until recently, though, it was just this what I had in my mind, and that's just like a nice idea to tell people at conferences like we were talking, but that was not so useful. Plus, it wasn't so popular of an idea, so I felt like a weirdo. But now, I had not looked into something called puffs. Like, so sometimes people tell me, oh, puffs, and that's it. So it's physical unclonable functions, and that's the thing I wanted to introduce with that, because now this is the kind of most realistic thing that we have as a core building block, by the way, right? Because it's much more complicated than that, but if you want to at least start from the ground and then build something up that your fundamental primitives are at least kind of secure, this seems to be the best code. So I call that the rise of crypto physics, because the work that is behind these puffs, these physical unclonable functions, is actually quite fascinating. It comes from a PhD thesis 2001 called physical one-way function, right? And the idea of this black hole too is also because a black hole is like a physical one-way function. Okay? Basically, you can think, right, it's like a hash. If you hash something and I show you the hash, you cannot extract it out by looking at it, right? So it's the same with the black hole. But now they did that without using quantum phenomena. And the interesting thing with this work is this thesis is fascinating to read, okay? I didn't read the whole thing, but just even the beginning. Because he mentioned that his work was inspired by quantum money and quantum cryptography and solving the double spending problem. Okay? And that's 2001. And it's just interesting to consider. So, okay, the rough idea of what this is, and that's the experiment it does, but this could give you the intuition what this puff is. This physical one-way function eventually became a puff, but the thing is, like, they shoot some laser, some light, and you have this piece of material if you want, and they shoot at different angles, and then it will create this interference pattern, and they like here, right? This screen here. Imagine it will receive like spots of lights, and it will be like randomly distributed, and they take this distribution, this two-dimensional distribution, and transform this into like a hash. And this you get randomness from that. Like it's like as though it's like a physical hash function. Okay? So that's what this led them to what we call now the physical unclonable functions. And they realized, hey, we could do that with chips. Okay? So by exploiting the statistical variations and the delays and devices of wires, and that's you see the term manufacturer resistant in this work, okay, 2003. That's really interesting because that's what we're all looking for. We don't want to trust think actually Intel resistant, you know. Right? So maybe to give you the sort of intuition again, what the puff is, okay? So the way I kind of personally like to think about it, okay, because I don't have that much physics background, so I have a PhD or something, so and I'm not an electronic or a computer engineer or hardware engineer. So here, right, it's like a racetrack, right? So you have one electron, let's say, two electrons are going to race, and the thing is like each of these blocks can be swapped. It's basically the track you can cross it, right? So let's say you have two parallel racetrack, and it could be each of these gates you can go to the left or right, cross them or not. And it's so you feed in the challenge. And let's say if you have 128 of this, it's like 2 to 120, 2 to the 128. So you have many possibilities of different paths, racetracks, right? And so whatever electron makes it first, you get a 0, 1, right? So from this, you can then generate again a random bit string. Okay. So now this is like baked into the chip. Okay. And so when the chip is like powered on, the race begins, say, okay, and then you measure the response. And the thing is like from chip to chip, even though they have the exact same design, because of the physics of the chip, if you want the resistance in the wires is such that it will differ and no one can control it, the manufacturer cannot control that. So that means that each chip will yield a different result for even the same challenge. Okay? I think it's called, I don't need to say that, but I'll say it, but interdistance in the literature. Okay? And versus that when you feed the same challenge again and again on the same chip, it will give you not exactly the same response all the time because there's some noise, but they can clear this up, but it's like getting right? It's just that my goal here was to just introduce this as like the core construct. Because I would say, first like, he's not here, but this Egyptian white cat, the demo they did, right? How do you say his name?
Shin.
Shin, okay, I was with him in New York 2-3 weeks ago, like visiting Fat Boss Office Paradigm, and we tried it. Actually, it's the first tweet. If you go on Twitter, the first tweet it has, it's like it says something, because we put the condition, allow only cypherpunk friendly statements, tweets, okay? So we put SGX is cool or something like that. It didn't go through. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. Huh? And then we put something SGX is not cypherpunk friendly. This was tweeted. Okay? And after that we put puffs are cypherpunk friendly. This went through. Okay. So the goal here is like I feel it's really useful for this community now that we get just like ZK, NPC. FHE, yeah, now puffs has to be like. So then you say puffs to VCs. Say, yeah. How much money you need? You know? Really, I'm not joking. That's my prediction, right? So because puffs are really freaking cool, man. So, but of course, it is not enough. Okay, but that's the core building block that at least they're like cypherpunk friendly if you want. They're not quantum, so it's basically the just before the quantum realm is puffs. That's the way I understand it. Okay, look, this is what I was gonna. It just says what this is from actually Ingrid, who's at KU Leuven. Really very good hardware researcher. Was at the FHE summit yesterday, and I talked with her. It was from a book I've been kind of reading a bit to learn about these things. But they point out that because a puff, the idea is that you cannot write two when you make two chips. First, the idea is like a manufacturer could like try to make like I don't know million of chips, okay, and then it will not be able to have identical puffs, okay. They're unclonable. That's the idea. But this hardness, if you want cloning, cannot be considered. It's practical security here, okay. So if you want to have theoretical unclonability, you have to use quantum physics. So a black hole, because black hole is a quantum number. So if we go back now to the manufacturing worldwide, this is a slide from a company that makes puffs. Okay, because puffs you can buy them. Okay, there's like a company, the top company that makes them. They have like something like 600 million devices, IoT devices are deployed right now with using them. So they're apparently very well studied, and there's still attacks on it. And there's like weak puffs and strong puffs. Us, we have to use weak puffs. Strong puffs apparently is no good. But the idea, right, this is what Intel does. It's like a key injection, right? This is what I showed earlier. So they create the key and they inject it, they burn it into the fusion of the chip. With a puff, here they use the term inborn. I think the technical term is intrinsic. Okay. Oh, that's what. Yeah. So the idea is because the manufacturer doesn't control that. So that means when they made the laptop, say the chip, it's just when you power it on, because of the physical characteristics of the chip, then you will get some key generated out of it. So it's not injected. Discussion, questions. I think this is a complicated topic.
Why does Intel not use puffs today?
So I've been wondering about this. Okay, I don't know. The most I got yesterday, I was talking with this hardware researcher yesterday, Ingrid. I asked her, "Hey, do you think Intel uses puffs?" You know, and she said no. And she said SGX is just an instruction set. So basically, how it's implemented and all that. But what? Another was Zhang who told me, right? I think puffs are more costly to make. But I don't know. The thing that's a problem too. This is now. I don't have an answer to that, actually, to be honest. But all I can say though is that that's why I don't like all this. Look, even with software, I've worked in corporations with closed source. Okay, they're just slow to move. They're just behind the latest stuff. Okay, that was my experience with software. And my gut feeling is the same with hardware. It's like so. I don't know why they don't use puffs, and if they use, why would not they say it? I don't know.
Yeah, so this is a perfect timing for a segue to Michael, who's making chips. Like, so, gonna make puff chips. Like, today.